This is a chapter with regard to personal relationship. We will differentiate the various types of relationships, the relationships that has a vital role in our life, the different phases of adolescence romantic relationship, responsibilities in relationship, how to become better in a relationship. Tonight, December 15 is the first anticipated Simbang Gabi for 2021. And this is a 9-day novena. Tomorrow is the first really Simbang Gabi. But I attended already the anticipated Simbang Gabi. Now, in this chapter, we will discuss again, as I told you a while ago, the different relationships. We will discuss the teenage relationships, including the acceptable and unacceptable expressions of attractions. This is how the teenage develop their mutual attraction between their opposite sex partners, classmates, or peer groups, or gangs in general. But let us have first the meaning of relationships and family. What do you mean by personal relationships? The concept of relationships and family is broad and varies from person to person. But what do you mean by relationship is unique to you? What do you mean by that? Most people do think a stable of connectedness, especially an emotional connections. In our textbook entitled Personal Development, written by Christopher G. Reyes, published in 2018 by Great Books Trading in the Philippines, personal relationships refer to close connections between people formed by emotional bonds and interactions. These bonds often grow from and are strengthened by mutual experiences. Relationships are not static, they are continually evolving, and to fully enjoy and benefit from them, we need skills, informations, inspirations, practice, and social support. In other words, relationships are just the manifestations of being a part of the group. This is what you call group where we belong, okay? Friends, gangsters, something like that. But this relationship started from your family. Family is essential component of relationships. But many people have family that they don't live with whom they are not bonded by love and by the rules of family. Because some parents, or most of the parents, work as domestic helpers in abroad. That's why they left their children with their relatives, with their friends, perhaps, with social workers, for example, if you cannot really find any, you know, people to see after your children. Although the concept of family is one of the oldest in human nature, the definition has evolved considerably in the past 3 decades. Non traditional family structures and roles can provide us much comfort and support as traditional forms. Because if you live with your grandparents, with your parents, this is extended. Even if the family of a certain family, for example, left their children with their relatives, with their aunties, with their grandparents. But after 2 years, for example, because most of the contracts in the overseas foreign workers extended up to 2 or 3 years, for example. Now, aside from family, we have friends. A friendship can be taught of a close between two people that is often built upon mutual experiences because these are what we call understanding. James Fowler, social network researchers and authors of the book Connected, found that the average person has about 6 close ties, though some have more and many have only one or none. What does it mean? These two, for example, friends are able to turn to each other in times of need. But these two researchers, some people wanted to have only one friend, two friends, or a maximum of six. Now, if you try to look at the traditional way, they have their unlimited numbers of friends. But because of technology nowadays, they are limited already to two persons, or most of the time, three friends, because they're already phobia or fear that if you have many friends, they will now again the trust. You cannot trust anybody else, remember? So the best way is at least two friends only. Note that the outline friends do not count toward close ties. Research indicates that a large online network seasoned early as a powerful as having a few close real life friends. That's why you have only two friends, but these two friends can networkly multiply. Okay? So you don't know between you and your friends who are those intruders or who are those spreading. That's why we have a new name for, gossipers, marites. What is the latest Marie? Okay? Marie is friend in Filipino dialect, but they use that marites as a name for gossipers or, you know, roaming around as a friend, just like, you know, newscaster around the community. Romantic partnerships, including marriage, are close relationships from two people that are built upon affection, trust, intimacy, and romantic love. Unless you have other or party, third party, because we cannot avoid that in our culture. Some couples have third party, their own friends. I do not know. Romantic experiences are built to play an important role in the life of adolescents and in the development of later significant romantic relationships. Throughout adolescence, the young person experiences a variety of stages in development of romantic relationships. Now, what are the phases on how to develop relationships? Number one, initiations. Initiations is physical attractions. You can choose. This is what you call crushes. I have a crush. I have a, you know, peer crush, something like that, between, let's say, 12 to 18 years old, or as early as 10 years old. The basic objectives in this first phase are to broaden one's self-concept and to gain confidence in one's ability to relate to potential partners in a romantic way. For example, grade 6, he has already a potential crush, potential partners, for example, because that is his or her best friend. Okay? Now, affiliation, number two. During the affiliative phase, boys and girls meet with mixed gender groups. Although sexual needs still exist, the strong affiliative motives present during this phase are such that the most relationships during this phase emphasize companionship rather than intimacy. Adolescents who describe their current romantic relationships as being close, satisfactory, and sharing tended to feel that they were what part of the society, suggesting that adolescents have been formed from what more positive romantic, because you cannot give what you don't have. But suppose your partners is your friends in group, what would happen? Of course, there is always what you call formation and maintenance of romantic relationships. This is influenced by the group, by the peers, fitting within the group. This is what you call somehow, if this will develop in the near future, shotgun marriage, because the parents believe that these are already the lucky couples. Why it is called shotgun? Because if you don't like to marry for example, my daughter or my son, there will be a shotgun, firing of a certain. That's why there is a threat, something like that. But beware or be careful, parents, because sometimes shotgun is not effective. Number three, intimate romantic relationships. Mark the presence of intimate romantic relationships in which interaction between partners takes on the qualities of a dyadic relationship to the point that a couple is formed. This is already the engagement period or nearly to marriage, because you have already a commitment from each other. That's why this is a greater emphasis on intimacy. Your intimate relationship now with your parents or with your partners sometimes is already away from the family, because you have the plan to get married sometimes. Okay, committed relationship, these are already the final stage where you can now form your own family. The latter stage of adolescence, committed relationships are established. These relationships are long term, or this is already the planning for family, for forming a family. Now, how to become better in relationships? Because relationships nowadays, influenced by social media or technology, can break, okay? Can separate it. This is a cause of separation. We have to improve interpersonal dynamics. Encourage each other to communicate all the times, whether in minute or petty things, something like that. Communication should be there. Skip repeating past mistakes. How do you do that? If you had mistakes last year, don't show another mistake the same year, this year, something like that. You change together. How? You have to what? See the commonality of your partnership, of your relationships. Developing better communications, yes. If someone got emotional, you don't need to or pay back, or what you call that, fight back, but you have to listen first intently. Don't plan out what you want to say, but give your partner full of attention. You listen what is said, what is said, then afterwards you say, are you done? Is that your opinion? Is that your points? Then I will say this, so that we have the balance. And then expression of emotions with, you know, with tactful considerations. Express empathy, correct. How do you express empathy? You understand first the situation given by, for example, your partner, your wife or your husband. And then later on, you put at the center. Then here comes the forgiveness. Increasing positive experiences, how do you express positivity? Always be positive, correct? Because there is no perfect nowadays, especially in the influence of technology. They can play you, they can give you a false information, and then they will quarrel from each other, something like that. they will laugh after you if you are going to take that seriously with regard to false information from social media, correct? And kindly be kind always with your partners. Express gratitude, correct? Taking care of yourself, practice self-love, get plenty of sleep, exercise regularly. So these are some suggestions to be able to maintain your relationships in the family, with your friends, with your partners, or with somehow with your marriage. So that in order to avoid separation or divorce, we have to practice this healthy relationships. Okay? So thank you for listening. Please subscribe my Omicronable 2022 YouTube channels, and those who subscribes watch this channel. Thank you very much. And next time I will give you the second type of relationships called social relationships. Thank you. Merry Christmas